everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm Tamia Harper, and I'm joined by my sisters, Sabrina Wood.
Hey, everybody.
JD.
Howdy.
And Yvette Blackman-Tom.
What's up?
Today, we are fangirling like crazy, and we're super excited. See, there you go, fangirling. I guess that's the international sound of fangirling, because we have our very first guest on our show. He's the co-host of the Seventh Rule podcast with Ryan T. Husk, and he's best known for his role on Star Trek Deep Space Nine as Jake Sisko, Ben Sisko's son. But hopefully we can get him to squeeze in a little bit of information about his roles in Star Trek, Gods and Men. And I'm really interested in, I'm through with white girls. The inevitable undoing of Jay Brooks. So welcome to the one and only Cirroc Lofton.
Yay!
Hello.
Rock.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. SyFy Sistas all the way. You know what we do.
We do it. Thanks for joining us. We're so excited that you're here. We wanted to talk about what part of the magic of Deep Space Nine was this wonderful representation of positive Black healthy relationships. So, we wanted to talk about Black love and what Deep Space Nine was doing and how far ahead of the time they were and what it means to us now and whatever other good stuff we can get into. But, before we get into all of that, like you started acting at a really young age, right?
Yeah, I started acting about 9 years old.
Holy cow, you were just a baby. You were still a baby on the set, right, of Deep Space Nine?
I was a baby on the set of Deep Space Nine, and I was a baby on other things that I did before Deep Space Nine, commercials and all the other stuff that got me prepared for working with those guys that were really on the high level. So yeah, I started out really young.
In the grandchild, you're not that much younger than me. So you were coming up at a time when we had a lot of Black shows on television, but none of them were the top shows. Like I was doing research for this and I looked and there were no Black shows that topped in the top 30, except for during the time that Deep Space Nine was on, which was 1993 to 1999. But we did have a lot of Black television, but it was all sitcoms, right? If we set the scene that way, we'd look into what Deep Space Nine was doing, how different it was when it came out to have this Black male protagonist with the son, a single father. All the other shows that we had showing Black faces on TV were all comedies.
Last one. I loved them though. This is Sabrina. I loved them all. We had Fresh Prince and Bill Cosby and Family Matters and Cirroc. Were you not on Moesha? Did I remember this correctly? Did you do one episode?
I did, yeah. I did episode. Yeah. and actually, Brandy and I, we went to junior high school together. So we were the two actors in our junior high school.
Really?
Yeah. But going back to what you were saying, yes, a lot of it was comedy, and that was the roles that they were willing to accept us in. As long as we were making people laugh, and they were okay with it. I think the Cosby Show really showed like a more upscale family with Cosby being a doctor and his wife being an educator. So they showed a more educated family, even though it was still comedy. But I was a big fan of those shows too. Different World.
Yes.
That's my show.
Yeah, I was a fan of those shows too. And they were big in the culture. Mm-hmm. But as far as drama is concerned, they didn't really want to either take us seriously or show us in a serious light. Right. And I think that's where what Avery did with DS9, what we did is important.
And we felt it. I mean, we
yeah.
knew when we were watching it that this was stuff that we did not see anywhere else, because even though those comedies managed to put a lot of drama into episodes, especially French Prince and Different World, they did it. They snuck it in, but it wasn't the A story. It was definitely maybe the B story. But Deep Space Nine just had these arcs and people and characters that we were just loving it. And I tell you, you definitely had a soft spot in my heart from the minute you got off of that fishing pier and your little coveralls. I was like,
Coveralls, I know, that
man,
was so
this is gonna
cute.
be good. This is gonna be good.
I always tease him. He looked like baby. We used to call him Baby
He's like
Jake.
Tom Sawyer.
Baby Jake.
Baby Jake. Baby
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah, that was something really beautiful, and I remember those moments because obviously that was Avery and I kind of building the beginning of our relationship, and he was like instant about taking me under his wing and just treating me like his own child. So that kind of happened really quickly. It didn't take much for us to start off on a good foot. And but going back, once again to what we were talking about, there were other shows even preceding ours, the shows like Good Times and 227
Yep.
and the Jeffersons. And I mean, there's just all kind of shows that showed Black leads, but, mostly in the realm of comedy. And so having a Black, a show about Black people that's not about making you laugh. And, the history goes back to Step and Fetch It, Lincoln
Right.
Perry doing the Step and Fetch It. And that was like, he was the first millionaire Black actor on television.
Yes, he was.
But again, he was only allowed to do certain roles that were in the vein of comedy and in the vein of these gross stereotypes that portrayed us in the negative light, which is why, once again, Deep Space Nine really took a big step by taking us seriously and showing us in a serious way and in an educated posture.
Right. And it was interesting because those shows that you mentioned that did have Black father figures in them, and they did maintain comedy, but we all know what happened to John Amos as soon as he wanted to keep that show, with him as the lead, and they got him out. They killed him off and, made it all about dynamite. And it was just sort of like, wow, really? Are we going to do this? So yeah, when Ben Sisko came along and came with Joe and Jake, we were like, oh, buddy, this is it. This is it. All right, now I'm serious about this. And so I loved that show. I loved it. Loved the family. I loved all the iterations of Black love. And since that's what we're talking about tonight, right, Tamia? Right, JD? Right, Yvette? Talking about love, baby.
Cisco love.
Sisko love. We just how much we love the Sisko family, all the Siskos.
Were you aware, Cirroc, at the time when you were working on the show, how important it was going? Like, did you have any sense that this was going to be important later on, or were you aware of how singular it was at the time?
No, I had no idea. I didn't know. For me, it was just like another job for me, something new and a new challenge. I didn't really know about the history of Star Trek and how big the franchise is as far as the following and the fans. And when we first started, I think we were almost expected to fail in some ways. At least that's how the reviews sounded. So when we were getting feedback from how people were receiving us, a lot of it sounded negative, like, oh, this is a dark show. This is not really Star Trek. It's a space station. This is, Gene Roddenberry didn't have his hand in creating this particular show. Mm-hmm. And so all the feedback was negative. And so that kind of let us, at least let me feel uncertain about what our future was going to be. I didn't expect to be doing the show for that long at that point. I was thinking, well, we might just get canceled in that. So don't make any long-term plans. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, what a difference a couple of decades make, huh?
Sounds like something
Yeah.
we deal with now with Discovery. Sounds like the same complaints.
Exactly.
I keep saying, come back in 10 years and tell me what you think.
Right.
Playing the long game here with Star Trek.
Hopefully it won't take another 10 or 20 years for, more people to hop on the bandwagon and realize, what a gift they got going. I hear Honey in the background. I'm laughing like crazy. That's Yvette's dog.
Dog loves us too. The dog wants to talk. This is Rob.
I'm trying to put the mute on, but
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things about Deep Space Nine that is just so incredible is that it was a long game that they were playing. So the arcs are, and that was one of the first shows that was written that way. So it was hard for people to come in, and it wasn't episodic. And so, people had to hang in there and follow the show. But they were like, oh, this is Star Trek. Oh my God, we didn't follow it. We didn't finish up with the aliens tonight. And, it was just really getting on my nerves because I remember these reviews. I remember them vividly. And, I kept waiting like, what's going to happen next? I can't wait. So it was interesting, but I'm glad that people now, especially with the ability to binge it, which seems to have absolutely given it like a whole nother following that, wasn't there for the original, even wasn't there when it was in rerun. But these Netflix binging people that are just discovering it, like, really, you just coming on to the, okay, whatever. But
Well, they are.
hello, here they come, like, oh wow, it's an arc. You're like,
yeah,
before Game of Thrones, there was Deep Space Nine. So
Thank you.
just understand that.
Yeah, please, folks.
And I mean, it's like, it's a generational thing. And I think it's just like when I was in the car with my parents, I was listening to their music, and so therefore I knew music 2-3 generations removed from myself. And say, if you don't have somebody to teach you and to show you sometimes that, where you came from and to teach you the history of what you're listening to today was built on this, which was built on that, which was built on that, then, it's going to be a harder road for them to tell, thank God those kids are finding it now. I mean, it's a really receptive audience now. They're built for this type of storytelling.
Right. Yeah.
And they're ready to hear it. When I started watching Deep Space Nine, like I wasn't in Sabrina's generation, so I wasn't so entrenched into the original series and that mode of storytelling that I couldn't just switch and go with it. When Deep Space Nine gave me a different option, it was still novel, but I wasn't resistant to it. And I think a lot of people became really resistant to it just because they been lived for so long with things being one way, being done this one way.
48 minutes. That's it.
Yeah. Come back next
week.
You got some horrible thing happen to you this episode, but next week you're fine. You're good to go.
Trauma's over. Not a problem.
Right? You a different girlfriend every episode. Speaking of girlfriends.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
You got my attention on that one. Go ahead, Sabrina.
No. So we're talking about Black love. And so, of course, as you know, in the SyFy Sisters, I am like the classic historian here. And my brother would be so proud. He's the real historian. I always want to give you the background for whatever we're talking about. So we went back and kind of researched, like I went into Greek mythology or, Greek philosophy. And they have a thing about there are 8 kinds. Can you believe this? There were 8 kinds of love. And all of them were depicted on Deep Space Nine. So how deep is that? So we're going to talk tonight about affectionate love. That's a love between deep friendships. There's enduring love, which is a mature love that deepens over time. And we see that with Sisko and Dax. That friendship we see with Jake and Nog. Familial love, which we see with Joe, Ben, and Jake. There's romantic love, which we get with Cassidy. Thank you, Jake Sisko, for pairing them up.
Yes.
We have playful love, which I always remember the one. It's like Fenna and Jake with his girlfriend in the Jake and your girlfriend in the Dabo Girls.
Jake and your Bajoran girls, baby.
I'm telling you,
we know it was a Bajoran centered place.
Yeah, she was Bajoran. He found her. Obsessive love.
Jake was always. Can I just say that Jake was always like shooting above his age?
He sure was.
You were just like my little brother, man.
I like older women. What can I say? It is what it is.
Oh, there might be some ladies out there that are really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
Well, all right. So we've got all these different kinds of love, and we've got, like I said, we've got them all in different episodes, and we've listed a few episodes that we wanted to get a little deeper in with you. We're going to save the best for last because I know which one Tamia wants to ask you about, but because the seventh rule, we definitely want to talk about Jake and Nog, which was definitely the affectionate love, the deep friendship, minds on the same wavelength, and that relationship between Jake and Nog, it was just precious. I mean, we were just watching Storytellers, and it was you and Jake, fighting over this young girl that came on the station who had to talk about some treaty or something, and Nog was liking her, but she was liking Jake. It was just too cute to do. You go over and over. You were fighting over ringing the doorbell with this girl.
Yeah, don't embarrass yourself, man. Yeah, I remember that episode. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it looked like you guys were having a good time. So I just loved, was there one of your favorite Jake Nog episode?
I mean, there's so many. I guess one of my
there are.
yeah,
I'm putting you on the spot, man.
There's so many. I like the moment where Jake is teaching Nog how to read.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
I just thought that's important, because as friends, we want to be there for each other and always try to do the best we can to help our friends grow and be better people. And I think that was a good example of that. It also shows the power of literacy, and the story about how many Black people have been had to sneak in to read books, and how many of them had to conceal the fact that they knew how to read or write, and or were taught how to read and write under those similar conditions, by somebody who was a friend. So that's kind of reminiscent of that kind of friendship and that kind of bond. I thought that was a big thing for Jake and Nog.
I actually thought about that when I first saw that episode. It made me really, especially the visual of it, to see the two of them crouching on the floor in a kind of low lit room, and the fact that when Sisko comes in and he looks and he observes what's going on, you can sort of see all of that travel through his mind, as he just turns away and he smiles a little bit and turns away and just lets y'all be and do what you're doing, and also the pride that he had in his son for doing this great act, and standing up to him and defying him in order to do something that was actually very good. But yeah, that was a wonderful moment. That's one of my all-time favorite Star Trek moments.
Yeah, exactly. One of those ones where you're just like, oh my God, this show is so deep.
Yeah, there's also the unlikely friendship of two people with so different backgrounds, and we talk about that in our own lives as we try to overcome racism and the differences that we have between each other. I was watching a documentary on Nina Simone, and she was talking about an older white lady that helped her or taught her how to play the piano.
Yeah.
And, I can envision that, that this unlikely couple of people that you wouldn't think would be together are together,
mm-hmm.
and working to better each other. So I thought that's what the Jake and Nog story reminds me of, those kinds of moments.
Oh man,
I love that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Sabrina.
No, I was just going to say, it's funny that you say Nina Simone, but there's also a similar story about, Louis Armstrong, because that name Satchmo is a name that was given to him by the Jewish family that took him under his wing and taught him how to play the trumpet. And he was called Satchmo because of those people. It wasn't like he got some jazzy name. It was a longtime home name from these neighbors that different race. They were just like, hey, here's the talent. We're gonna get this kid this trumpet and let him have at it. But I think my favorite, it's the one that always gets me is, we just saw it recently on Seventh Rule. It was when you guys were saying goodbye to each other when Nog was going off to Starfleet, and you were saying goodbye to the Spot.
Still his friend.
And that one always gets me when you say this was a good spot. And I'm like, yeah, man.
That's when you know he's your friend.
Yeah, and what makes me laugh too is that scene where the two of us are having a double date and he asks his girlfriend to chew his food for him. Oh my God. And you would think that's a deal breaker on a right? It's like,
that'd be one of the worst dates ever in Star Trek. That just ended so badly.
And
that's
meanwhile, my date was the girl Lark Voorhees from Saved by the Bell, who I actually had a huge crush on growing up. So the fact that he would ruin that chance, it was even worse.
You were like all fine and everything. That was just like, I mean, every time I see that scene, it's just like you just cringe. You're like, Nog!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember those teenage hormones too. A moment like that, the stuff that my friends did would just make me so embarrassed. I would just get embarrassed like at the drop of a hat, when I was a teenager. And if my friend was messing up, it's like, oh my God, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to recover from this. I felt like I couldn't show my face at school. Like everybody's going to know, everybody's going to be talking about it.
For real.
But I like what you were talking about as far as showing the two different races, two different kinds of people, that it showed it in a way that was kind of fearless, and I think that there is a fearlessness in loving, and especially as Black folks in this country, to be open to experiences from outside of our culture, I think is a courageous act and a revolutionary act. And and so I love the fact that they were showing this relationship, like you said, across these different cultures that was really strong, and like you said, unlikely pairs, sort of the Archie Bunker and stuff, like that type of pairing. You don't think like George Jefferson and Archie Bunker are going to find common ground, but they do have a lot of commonalities, but it takes courage to cross this cultural divide, and usually, and I love how DS9 used the children, because it's always the kids take us further. It's always kids who go another step. And I remember, my parents raised me to be respectful of other people and to treat everybody the same and da-da-da-da-da. But the first time I brought home a white boyfriend, there was discussion in the household.
Yeah, he's like, I don't ever want to see you.
There was a discussion, because it was like, oh my God, how can you be living this way? It's what we taught you, but we didn't really mean for you to do it.
I didn't mean all that.
And the kids, so the next generation was like, well, this is what I've learned my whole life. What's the problem?
Even in the show, I mean, when the show starts, Sis Ben is like, don't play with that Ferengi boy, and
like, I don't ever want to see you
is like the same way. Stay away from the human. So, in fact, the parents were against it. It was the two boys that were like, hey, we're gonna just hang out, even though he was taking you down the wrong path, Cirroc. He sure was. You had to stop.
I was a bad boy there.
Oh my God.
He was a troublemaker.
He was a thug.
We made some money though. We did make some money.
Fighting ants, stealing buckets. What else did the boy do?
Yeah.
Answer this question for me. When Nog is supposed to throw the fake Siskos, the fake Odo stuff out of the bucket, he throws it on you. They cover you with oatmeal. Like, what was that? How many takes did you have to do with that one? Because you were covered.
Yeah, I forgot that until I saw it. It brought back such bad memories because I hate being messy. I like being clean.
How did you?
And I just know dripping wet with oatmeal. Nah, I was not cool with that.
You're so fresh and so clean.
I think Aaron was seriously laughing at you too. He was busting a gut.
That made it even worse. The fact that he enjoyed it. Because he would enjoy those moments. But no, I mean, just the fact that, we come from these two big culturally different backgrounds. And it reminds me of even with my own childhood. When I was in elementary school, there was a kid who came to our school and his name was Abdul. And he was from Afghanistan. And he was the only kid from Afghanistan in our school. And he had this, traditional kind of look to him. And everybody didn't want to talk to him at our school. They were like making fun of his look. He had these birthmarks on his face, so they made fun of that. They made fun of the fact that he dressed differently. And I took it upon myself to like go and get to know him better and talk to him and be his friend. And that friendship lasted, all through from elementary to college. So,
wow.
And I learned a lot about somebody else's culture, right? I think we're afraid of things that we don't know about. Say, okay, keep that away from me. I don't know much about that. And that's how other cultures look at Black people, and they say, I don't really want to get to know what that is, and you just keep it away from me, and that's fine. But if you just willing to take that step to kind of get to know and let those kind of preconceived notions go away and just explore a little bit, you can and will be surprised by the quality of people that you meet, their intelligence, their compassion, their honesty, and you can be pleasantly surprised, and then you just have to overcome that first hurdle of that person is different than me.
Right.
Yeah. Right, and you don't know what kind of gold you're gonna strike once you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask a couple more questions, because one of the other things I did love about the show was that you had the 3 generations of Siskos in this show. And Brock Peters is somebody that, I also love classic Hollywood. And so when Brock came into the show as Joe Sisko and not the bad admiral, the Bradmiral,
Right.
I was like, oh, good, please don't kill him off. Wainwright, right?
Wainwright.
So, right. I was like, oh no, man, really? He's the one? And, I was just amazed, because I remember Brock Peters, honest to God, he reminds me so much of my father with his looks, that I could hear him saying some of this stuff and making me peel potatoes and things like, yeah. So that just really made such a big difference to me when, Ben was so attached to his father. I loved the episode Homefront, the 2-parter.
Yeah.
Because all 3 of you are together at the restaurant, and I just love those 2 shows, even though shit's breaking loose, but it was a great show. So how was it working with Brock?
Brock is remarkable. He's one of the people that paved the way for people like me, people like Avery. So he earned his stripes. But one of the things that made it special, just seeing 3 generations of Black men on television, because there is an assault on Black men in this country.
That's right.
And we lead the incarceration. We lead the police brutality numbers. They're after us in some type of way or another.
Tell it, brother.
And you don't get to see Black men in the position of being good fathers or being educators or being businessmen. They just don't put those kind of images out there. Every time we look up and see Black men, they're always being, portrayed in a very negative light. And so I think that's really the power of that. Avery used to say, this is about Black people in the future. This is about seeing ourselves in the future, 500 years into the future. We're still here.
Right.
We're still part of it. We're still an integral part of the way society functions. And I think that's an important thing that, that he held on to and made sure to convey. But just the fact that you don't see black men in positive light doing their thing. And in this case, you did see fathers, businessmen, leaders, good students, good captains,
saving the universe, saving these white people again.
God, he was a god. He was a god.
He was a god. That's right. He was a demigod.
And one thing I want to say about what Cirroc and Sabrina was saying is that I love the triad of Joe, Ben, and Jake, mainly because of what Cirroc said about the assault on black men. And from slavery, we never saw black men loving, not just loving, just being loving people, human beings. Gentle, not even gentle, just love in all senses. Joe loved his son. I mean, he loved him fiercely. Ben loved Jake fiercely. Jake loved his grandfather and his father. He loved his father because I was just watching, I forgot which one it was, when Ben is having those visions.
Rapture?
Rapture. So
Rapture.
And Jake is like, I know this means everything to you, but I need you. Right. I cannot live without you, and he had to make that decision at 18. Though I was, I didn't have children at the time when DS9 first came on, but I was getting ready to get married. And I always tell the story that DS9 just portrayed Black love so well. I grew up in a household with, my mother and my stepfather, and they were very much in love. My godparents, very much in love. But when you watch TV, like you said, the Black people on TV were a joke. Mm-hmm. They might have been in a loving relationship, but there was always a laugh track. So, you kind of dismissed it. And it always seemed to me like it's the thing where white people don't want to see us as people. They want to see us as entertainment. And DS9 took that away from them. And I think that's why they don't even mention it as a Black show. I know, I think Ira said it on What We Left Behind, is that it wasn't even mentioned as one of the Black shows on TV during that time when the lead was a Black man.
Right.
And it wasn't even recognized as being a Black show. So that's the reason why I wanted to do this love segment, because there's so much more to it than, although I love Ben and Cassidy, I love them to death. Believe me, I want to write fanfics about them the way I love them so much. But Joe, Ben, and Jake are just everything, because this is, I don't even think we see it now, where 3 generations of Black men head a show, save the universe, love each other, run a business, and still live in New Orleans, that's Black America.
Come on, there. Right? Even that city was like, right. Yes. So let's hear it.
To pay the homage to Black Americans. That's what I love. That being a Black American, the great great granddaughter of slaves, it meant everything to me. And I know it meant everything to people I knew. I know it meant everything to like my brother. He's not a Star Trek fan, but he definitely knows about Hawk. And when Hawk was on DS9, he was like, "Oh, I'll watch that a little bit," But I just wanted to make that point that you guys made those points about, how, the assault on the Black man. It's been going on since slavery. The assault on the Black man, and it hasn't ended. They're gonna find something else. It's always something. So I think DS9 is so important in that sense, and I don't think people talk about that enough. How the Black men run that show, they bring it to the point where you can watch that and feel really good about yourself and see Black people in a totally different way, because they never shied away from him being Black, which I which I also loved, So that's my piece.
Yeah, or that he was loving, and the
Yes,
fact
he
that he
was
was a
extremely
loving
loving.
father.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's always kissing him.
Oh, I
Well,
love
that's
it when
what
he
I
kisses
love.
Jake. I
There
love
were
it when he
always
kisses Jake.
there were always those moments
Yes.
of intimacy and tenderness, real tenderness.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, the loving. Yes,
that we never
yes.
got to see amongst men, but especially amongst Black men.
Yes,
I
yes,
was
ma'am.
thinking about it, especially during that time. It was if it was either the Huxtables on one side, or you were some type of perpetrator being walked into the police station on NYPD Blue.
Right.
Like there was no, or like you said, you were a joke. So the Huxtables was not a common experience, but I mean, it wasn't uncommon either. I mean, that was what a lot of people was like, I didn't grow up like the Huxtables. Well, I did.
I did.
I did. Am I less Black because I grew up that way? Like, no, I'm not. But like you said, the choices of how we were represented was a real different ball game back then. And I mean, I think now the difference is that we are finally getting more ownership of how we are represented. We're creating our own spaces and our own spaces at the table. We're not asking for spaces at the table. We're creating our own spaces, just like what SyFy Sistas is doing. We're not asking for mainstream fandom to accept us or hear what we're talking about. The conversation is moved, but the conversation is now like, well, who do I want to talk to? I'm going to go here and talk. I'm not going to convince you of anything. I'm not going to justify my reason for being or living. I'm just going to do me. But Gil Scott-Heron, my favorite quote from Gil Scott-Heron, just shut up and be Black.
Right. Whitey's on the moon.
Shut up and be Black. So I don't need your permission to do or be what I am. I'm just going and doing it. I think, but we can do that now because of shows like DS9.
Exactly.
In my life, Deep Space Nine was integral in getting me to this level of thinking. If I hadn't had Avery Books there to help plot that out and show me how it was, and Cassidy Yates to show me what that looked like as an independent woman who was doing her own thing, confidently running her own sphere. Everything in her sphere, she ran. I was like, to show me that was possible and how it looked.
Captain
I don't know.
Yates to you, Captain.
My favorite scene between Ben and Cassidy, I think I've told you guys before, is when they're lying in bed together. She has to get up and go to work, and he pulls her back in, and they do their little talk, and then she leaves, and he smells her pillow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then he throws his pillow away and lays on her pillow.
So
I love that, because I know how Black men are about, especially, I don't know about white women, Black women's hair and the way it smells. Because I've had that experience. So I didn't realize I was going that way. It made me think of things, that has happened. So I just love that scene. When I think about them, I think about that scene, because that just shows, I don't know, it's just a Black experience. You know what I mean? That's another Black experience that just was like, yes, that happens. That stuff happens, and where else I've never seen that again. So yeah, I just love them. Yeah, I'm writing fanfics.
Ooh, I forgot about that. I'm gonna have to run that show tonight.
Some good stuff.
We gotta look at that episode.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what's great, because you always wonder if that was scripted or not. If Avery threw that in himself, did he just throw that in, or was
That's Avery.
Y'all have no Black writers. It wasn't right. Ain't nobody wrote that.
Exactly. He wrote that.
He wrote that.
Right. Where's the script direction that said he tossed his pillow?
Because her hair was on that, and he was always touching her hair.
Yes.
And only your man touches your hair.
You got that right.
Nobody else touches a Black woman's hair but your man. So he was always caressing her hair. So I'm sure It smelled like her. There was like, y'all like, nobody wrote that. Come on.
They didn't write that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Did y'all have black writers? No.
Mm-mm. No, we did not.
Penny had such beautiful hair too.
She
She's
did.
just so
She still
gorgeous
has
and
beautiful
stunning.
hair. She does. I love her. We need
Oh,
to get
yeah.
her on here.
Cirroc, what were you about to say? You look like you were about to say something.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking about that, but I was also thinking about how it wasn't an act, because Avery is like that. He is like how his character is, as far as being a father, a loving father, as far as being a committed husband. I've watched him do these things with my own eyes, so I know that that's just who he is, and that's how he is. Family means everything to him, and I mean, he would fly back to the East Coast just to be with his family on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So he would work a 70-hour week, 80-hour week, and then Friday night on red eye, catch a flight and go back to Jersey, be with his family, just to be with them for the, part of the day Saturday, and then part of the day Sunday, because he'd have to leave back on Sunday to get there by Monday morning,
Right.
by 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. So he dedicated his life to being a family man and putting his kids through college and making sure that his daughter got a Georgetown degree, and that, his sons. Yeah, so I mean, he put his kids through school. He dedicated his life to being a father, and so there are black men that do that.
Oh yeah.
And that's why it's important to show it, because they only show us the ones that don't do it, the absent families, the broken families. But there are families that are still functional, or still working on their black love and trying to make it work, and making sacrifices, because that's how we all got here, because of the sacrifices that the people before us had to make to get us here.
That's right. I mean, the ultimate black love. I was wondering how much impact being with Avery at those formative years of your development has had on the man that you've become, and on how you are as a father or a partner.
I'm enjoying being a dad. I'm trying to be impart the same kind of life lessons that Avery did for me, and just being there and being loving as a father too. So my daughter knows that I'm here for her and that I love her. So yeah, it impacted me in a lot of ways. It also impacted me how to be a gentleman and not be disrespectful with people, especially women. I never saw Avery call anybody out of their name or be anything less than an absolute gentleman with a woman. So that's another thing I think we can all benefit from, is just by how we treat the women that we love, how we treat our mothers, how we treat our sisters, how we treat our girlfriends and wives. So I think that's one thing I learned from him too, is how to be a gentleman, how not to cross the line, but also how to be tough and strong when you have to be tough and strong, and let people know this is the line, and I'm not letting nobody cross this particular line.
Oh boy, yeah, those are some of my favorite Sisko scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
snapped you back. He snapped everybody on that station back at least once.
At least
At least once. Yeah. He does.
And like you say, he just had so much. Like, he was never yell at them or something. I mean, he would just let you say your thing and then just tell you, here's the line. Let me tell you about this. I mean, I just love the way he did it every time. He even had Worf backing down. Worf was afraid of him. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He had Worf. He said, Worf, this is the line and you have crossed it. So
And I did see you as Jake skedaddle away from him a couple of times. I remember there was just one scene where you did something wrong in the scene and your father came in and you ran from the main room and scooted into your bedroom. And I just died laughing because you were just like, oh my God, let me out of here.
Yeah, I know. I know better. I know when the whooping's around the corner.
That's right.
You were gone, and I just thought it was so funny because you were pretty tall at that point. It was like maybe second season, third season, I can't remember, but it was just so funny the way you just had this reaction of like, oh man, dad's home.
Oh, yeah. I don't want no parts of that.
Yeah. But that was also part of the loving. You know, it wasn't fake. You know, you got disciplined. And that's that's what a father does. Because in most of our families, well, I know in my family, my father didn't do all the but he was the guy in the back telling my mother would be the disciplinarian, but he was always the guy in the back going, God damn it, didn't you listen to your mother? But he was the one we were really, you know, like if he really got upset, we already knew what she was gonna do. But if he got upset, you knew you were in trouble. You know, it was that kind of thing, you know. But that was also part of, you know, that was the
tough love.
The strength in the house. You knew that if you crossed the line, he was going to take care of you, you know. And that's I don't know. I grew up with two parents and godparents and always strong Black men. And, you know, that's why I loved, I guess, DS9 so much, because it actually showed what I grew up with, you know, just like with Different World. I know when I was growing up, like, what about us? We see all these bad Black kids they show. What about the kids that are going to college and doing right? And then Different World came on. Right. Like, yes, finally.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I was actually in college when it came on, so it was perfect. Yeah, so we still love that. Yeah.
Yeah, just you know, and there was never any, you know, physical abuse by the father. You know, we always have that kind of thing too. Like, you know, my father never laid a hand on me. All he had to do was give you that voice.
It was the voice.
I was voice commanded. Yes.
Right.
Well, I coming from a person who got spankings, and I got them pretty regularly.
I got those too.
I didn't say I didn't get a spanking.
Nobody said they didn't get no spankings.
I said my father did.
Just not my father, though.
Oh no, my stepfather was my stepfather spanked. My stepfather spanked, and my both grandmothers would make you go choose your own switch.
Oh, well, I've had that conversation too, but it wasn't like.
Oh yeah, we had to go outside to one of those trees and choose our own switch, which was just worse. Like, really, like you're gonna beat me with the switch.
I'm so glad we moved up north.
You too could have been raised in the South.
You see, I used to like, you know, not if I had, you know, I didn't like it, but if I had a choice between the two kinds of whoopings I got, there was one kind which was the on-the-spot whooping.
Yes. The one in the grocery store. That was the one from the grocery store.
There's no conversation. Nope. It's now.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But then the ones that I didn't really like, actually, I liked less than that, was the ones where you knew it was coming later. You just be riding it. But when we get home.
You got a chance to marinate in that fear.
And you just sitting there like, damn, when we get home, what can I do about this? It was like being on death row.
That man walking. You felt it. Oh, damn.
I have told this story before to my close friends, and now here I am going to tell it on podcast. Podcast. But I swear, I was working in my own apartment, you know. I will never forget this. I was walking down the street with my mother, and I saw her. I don't know. We were heading back towards houses. I lived in a different apartment from her in the same building, and I'm like dressed, you know, working, and I don't know what I said to her, but she gave me 5 across the face in the street.
Ooh, girl.
She just said, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I snapped off and said something like, "Oh, Ma, I'm not gonna. Don't be so ridiculous, whap." I will never forget. I was just
Never too
standing there
old.
in the street, briefcase, overcoat, looking like Miss CPA, and she just kept on going. She was just like, I was like, okie dokie, yeah, mommy, I'm sorry, mommy.
I'm so sorry.
I
Never
forgot myself.
forget.
I don't know who I thought I was for a second.
Slapped me right back in myself on Massachusetts Avenue in broad daylight. I was like,
I am not one of your friends. That's a reminder.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's my line.
It's a good
That's
line.
my line.
Not your friend.
Not one of your friends.
Yes.
You do that with your
hilarious.
friends.
It
You
was
don't talk to me.
hilarious.
like
Oh.
I couldn't do anything except laugh because it was like,
Oh,
what
man.
just happened?
Mhm.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
JD, in Alaska, did they make you go to pick your own switch?
Ice Cube.
No.
Get your own blubber.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, I really did have like that Jake Sisko life. My mom was in the military.
Right.
I wanted to be a writer when I was younger. So like, no, she had the voice down, but beyond that, it's like, okay, go live your best life. Don't get into trouble.
That's it.
You were one of them good kids. I was bad.
Well, you see, I was bad, but I also have a brother who's 10 years older than me. So I knew how to get away with things.
Okay.
Yeah, the
He paved the way. He did all
He
the
paved the
paving.
way, right.
Yeah, he paved the way all right.
Black parenting, also a sign of hardcore Black love.
Hey.
Yes, believe me.
Yeah.
I've
The
said
parents-
that. I'm not your friend many times.
Ooh, yeah, that's a
Mhm.
statement. Yeah,
That's
I heard
my
that
favorite line, right? Or maybe not my favorite, but yeah, I've
It's
said
up
that.
there.
Yeah, because I got 3 daughters, so I've said that more than once.
Yeah,
I
boy.
am not one of your friends.
Well, Yvette, seeing how you got 3 daughters, watch out for the youngest one because she knows.
Oh, I know that already. I've known her for 18 years. She'll tell you in a minute. She tell the middle one all the time, if you just do what she says, it'll be okay.
Oh, no, Yvette, I will guarantee you that is a lie because, like, I waited till I was an adult and then I started slipping out some of the things my brother used to do because I knew how to keep a secret to keep some debt.
Yes.
And then I let out some of the things I used to do, like throw out bus in California when I was in like the 6th grade.
That is against the law.
It is against the law. And I was doing it on a
There's
military
statute
base.
of limitations.
Yeah, what is the
That's a
statute of
felony.
limitations on
I
that?
did not hear anything. I ain't testifying.
We didn't hear that. Nobody heard
uh,
that.
No,
I heard it. Yes, Your Honor. I did hear her say that.
Prove it.
Oh, wow.
Where is the loyalty? Where is the loyalty? I'm just.
Gonna sell us some
Okay,
out
but
over here.
before
Yeah, I
we,
heard her.
Before we go too far astray, I wanted to ask about I wanted to say one of my favorite explore. Okay, Tamia, come back with us. One of my favorite episodes was Explorers, where you and Sisko were on the sail
The light ship.
the light ship out there. I love that for that father-son bonding time. And I think what I like about it so much was that moment that all children come to where they have to talk to their parent and go against what they think is the parent's wishes. You know, it's one of those first moments where we learn to fly a little bit on our own. For me, that's super difficult to do. So I always took a lot of encouragement from Jake, you know, because I still run across those situations. I mean, I was a growing into a young adult when that show aired and used it all the time. I'm still coming into situations as a grown woman where I have to disagree with my mother or my or whatever parent and set aside and say, I'm going to stand over here. And it's hard. It's hard to do. You know, it's very hard to stand up and say, I think this is me. I think I'm going to go do that. And how loving Sisko was, you know, we fear the recrimination, right? We fear rejection and denial. But instead, he said, I'm always going to support you. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love that relationship so much. I didn't have a great father relationship at any point in my life. I had father figures around me, but I did not have the level of intimacy. I think that's what always breaks me down in The Visitor. When I watch The Visitor, is because it shows me so much about their interactions together, show me what I could have had. And it touches me really deeply. And it's one of the things that I cry every time I see The Visitor, because I'm like, this is how a father and child relationship should be. And then, of course, when you deserved an Emmy for that performance, just for that, when he comes back the first time and he looks at you and he says, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And you just crumble.
You just go.
And that's what sets me off. And I'm like, look at all of that. I mean, I felt that so.
Every time
I watch it, I feel it so deeply. I know those moments when I can't speak it. I know those moments that my heart is crushing and all I can do, and all you want to do is fall into your parents' embrace. I mean, just every time I watch that, I was like, look at this kid. I remember the first time I saw it, because you're younger than me. You're only younger than me by a few years, but I mean, still,
saying that.
I do. I guess I do, huh? Sorry about that. But I guess I'm amazed. I think I'm amazed because I look at what I've done in my life to this point, and you were on a show when I was going through these stages of these experiences with you, at an early age. And anyway, but I look at what you did during that moment, and it's amazing to me. And so kudos to you, because it lives. It still lives as one of the most poignant moments in all of television history, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a deep, that is a deep scene right there. When you crumble, I mean, I feel it every time. And I've seen it, I think, around 10 times. And I feel it every single time. And it goes back to the same thing I was saying before. It's that seeing Black men feel, I mean, it's so not there that I'm watching the show from God knows how long ago, and it still hits me. Because it's just not there. I mean, you don't see it, and it goes to the fact that no one sees us as, sometimes I feel like they don't see us as human beings. We're just entertainment. Our culture is just a game to them sometimes. That's sometimes how I feel, and then when I watch, I have friends who are like, you watch Star Trek? What happened? What happened to you? I'll hear people like when they first find out I'm a big Star Trek fan, I'm like, you like Star Trek? And when I tell them about DS9, I say, you got to check out DS9. It's not the Star Trek you're thinking. You need to really check it out. And it's because of those moments. Those moments are just, they're heart wrenching. But I mean, I've seen this in other programs, but it's just not the same when you see people that look like you living a life, because DS9 is a story from beginning to end. We're living a life with the Siskos. It's just it's not episodic. We're living that life for 7 years. And it's different from watching a show that's a movie or episode, or it's just that we know the Siskos. We know them. We know mainly everything about them. So it just makes it more profound. So The Visitor is everything. I love that. Is everything about that is just wonderful. So
I tell you, another one of my favorite Jake ones, though, is the one where you went to war when you were on that planet. And, you have this bad experience, and then you save everybody, but it was just a fluke. And when you are telling your father what really happened, when you're reading the story to him and he's listening to this, that's the one that makes me cry. Because I'm just like, this is some deep. My brother was in the war. I have a brother that went to Vietnam. My father was in the war. My uncles were in war. And, you hear this stuff, but when you see that episode and you see these people, it's like totally frightened and totally like it's just whacked and it's going crazy. And this is one of the few times when you really see somebody like, okay, yeah, it's a science fiction show, but when people die, they come back and they have trauma and they're okay. But, this was like, oh my God,
Dying, yeah.
thought that was your Emmy as far as okay. You get a SyFy Sister Emmy.
Yes.
for-
At least two SyFy Sister Emmys.
Yes.
I might give you a third. I'm gonna let you say something in just a minute.
Okay, yeah, he's
because-
got a hard stop, so let's put
Yes.
that out there. It's got 15
Yes. So before we go, I'm gonna let you say something in just a minute because I gotta go. Remember that one, the Muse, where where you had the vampire chick, the
When she
energy
sucked on the
vampire
brain.
chick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was so freaky. I mean, seriously, what WTF with that one? Did you feel weird? Because she was older. She was way older than you, and it
Yeah,
was
he likes older women.
I know, but it was so sexualized, you know.
It was, yeah, it was a little weird. It was weird. And then when they first wrote the script, they had us in bed together. And
Wow.
and I remember like coming to Avery, and I was like, they gonna make me do this? Like,
How old were you when that one?
I don't know if I'm cool with this. I don't know. I think 17, something like that.
You're like, where's my intimacy coach? They didn't have him back then.
I wasn't ready for that. I was like, in the bed? I was like, are we gonna be naked? I didn't understand what was happening here because I hadn't done that before.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was a little bit nervous about that. Yeah. Then they decided, that is kind of, he's too young to be kind of for them to make it that overtly sexual. So they switched it up.
It's still creepy.
That's a creepy one right there. Yeah. Because you don't see Jake that way. And then to do that, I was like, oh, what are they doing? That one I don't watch. I don't watch that one.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that we kind of like speed forward to the next episode.
I skipped that one. I'm like, oh no, not that one. No.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about that. I was really nervous about doing that episode.
Wow.
I didn't like that one at all. I didn't like what they did there.
But the other ones you mentioned, I mean, they were a lot of fun. You talked about Explorers, and you guys talked about The Visitor, and those have great memories for me. Explorers, we were on such a small sound stage. That set was so tiny that there wasn't really much room, but Avery and I are just in each other's face wherever we go.
Oh wow.
And I like the intimacy of it and the way the lighting was, and I actually like the African kind of vest he had on with the kind of kente cloth kind of look to it. So those were great moments. And The Visitor, I mean, I was crying from reading the script, so that was an honor just for me to even do it and bring it to life, because the script itself, just the words on paper, made you cry. It was, you could feel the emotions, especially when I know how much I care about Avery and Sisko. So trying to envision the script coming to life was like, what's going to happen next? I was flipping the pages like, he better be alive at the end of this. Right. So yeah, and then that brings you to a place where you are without words, where you're feeling emotions. And I guess that's a bit what you were talking about how they see us. They really don't. They give us these. They dehumanize us in some ways. They don't show us that we're complex people, that we're emotional people, that that there's context to everything that we're doing and saying. It's not just a one level flat line. This is how all Black people respond in this kind of a situation. That's not how we are. We're not this monolithic thinking group. Right. We are all complex. We're diverse. We have our own opinions, and we can agree and disagree in different ways. And so I think that complexity is what made Avery so special too, because you weren't sure if, is he happy or is he sad? And he left you guessing. So you didn't know for a fact. It wasn't flatline. It was like you were kind of on edge, and you have to guess and you have to learn. But when it came to the love aspect, he was adamant to show the love. Like that kissing on the forehead he would do to me a lot, or he'd hug me and bring me in and give me a hug. That's him. That's him, and that's what he wanted. That's how he and I felt about each other. They didn't have to write that. That's what we would have done.
Wow.
We know that. You can feel it.
Hey, Jacob. Yeah. I love it when he says
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah.
So, man, thank you so much. Cirroc, before we go, is there anything that's coming up or that you want to talk about, that you want folks, listeners, to know about?
Well, I do have the Abyssinian kiosk website where you can get really cool merchandise. Represent like the shirt I got, my Haile Selassie shirt.
Nice.
It's just so dope.
Nice.
And we have other gear on there. Even the Sisko Kid merchandise is really cool. But
we'll make sure that we put that in the notes.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Yeah, Abyssinian kiosk. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is we're doing the 7th rule, and we love that we're growing with everybody, and that we just have such a good base, and everybody who's supporting us is so amazing. So just check out the 7th rule.
The 7th rule, please. Folks, if you guys haven't listened to the 7th rule or watched it on YouTube, it is amazing. And we have an amazing family, the Chat Pack.
Hey, Chat Pack. How you doing up there?
Back in the house.
Talk about the best of fandom is what you find at the 7th rule. It's all of us loving each other and supporting each other in a really wonderful way. And it's really a wonderful place. You guys have created something really beautiful there.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to give a real shout out to you guys for really giving us a big boost. And you and Ryan Husk have been so kind to the SyFy Sisters, featuring us on your shows and having us on and putting us on the VTech 2 and all that great stuff. So Chat Pack.
We love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I'm glad that you represented for the culture, for the Black women out there that don't have a voice in this particular area. And there needs to be more of us, because science fiction allows us to have the freedom to create whatever we want. And we need to see ourselves a part of that freedom and a part of that creation. And I think what you're doing by raising awareness and just making sure that other people see that we have a place here and we're not going anywhere, that's important. That's important. So I much love to the SyFy Sisters and big support to what y'all doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cirroc. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. We appreciate your time, and it's been so much fun talking to you, and really can't wait to do it again. You're just awesome. We love you.
Yay. Can I fangirl now?
I know listeners, he's super cute. So,
They know.
They know.
Thanks,
so,
go.
Yvette.
Yes.
Can you tell the folks all the places and all the acts and stuff where they can reach us if they want to reach out to us or join the fun with the SyFy Sisters? I
sure can. You can find us at SyFySisters.com. That's SyFySistas.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP, and the SyFy Sisters Book Club on Facebook. You can always find us on Instagram at SyFy.Sisters, and we're also on the Twitter at SyFy Sisters.
We're on the Twitter? Like the Google?
Google. We're on the Twitter.
We're on the Twitter.
And the Instagrams.
And the Instagrams.
All the Instagrams.
We're on all that stuff.
And the Book of Faces.
You want to give a shout out to our sound engineer?
I do, to the most incredible sound engineer in the world. His name is Dose the Anonymous. And he's also responsible for all the music that he has created for this show. Anytime you hear music on this show, it is created by Dose the Anonymous for the SyFy Sisters. And if anybody needs engineering skills, please look him up at Dose, DOSTHEANONYMOUS 1, the number 1, at gmail.com.
We are some spelling sisters, man.
We are.
That's what we do.
Reading is fundamental, kids.
We educated.
Yeah, we're not like dumb. We're smart.
We're smart. I'm not dumb.
Oh my gosh. And now we digress.
Okay,
see, this is the real thing. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We love y'all. Until next time. Peace, love, and hair grease.
Hey, bye-bye.